The following is a Joel Michalec production. On November 13th, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. That request came from his wife. She asked him to leave because he wouldn't listen to the Joel Michalec Show.
Hello, welcome, everybody. It is the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharon, and I am the Joel Michalec, and across the smaller desk than usual is the lovely Sharon. All right.
There you go. I'll catch on in a minute.
In my spare time, I'm an amateur dentist, and I pull teeth. Get it?
Get it? It's like pulling teeth.
Yes.
I get it.
Welcome to the podcast. The address to go to for the podcast is www.jmtalk.net. That's where you can subscribe to the podcast, listen to it, and other things. And if you subscribe to the podcast, which you should do, it's available anywhere you get podcasts. Anywhere.
Oh, my goodness.
Also, we are on social media.
Can you imagine?
We're sort of on social media. I mean, we're not camping out on social media, but you can also find us on social media, TikTok and Facebook at JM Talk, Instagram and Twitter at JM Talk Radio. So there you have it. That's how you can interact with the program on a weekly basis so you don't miss an episode. I have to apologize today.
Oh, my goodness. Me too.
I have to apologize today because I ripped you from your pressure washing.
I know.
And I wish I could.
What the heck?
I wish I could feel worse, but it's not like you were pressure washing our house for real. It is.
Hey, just because it's a simulation game does not mean it's not real.
So a couple.
Well, wait a minute. Simulation.
A couple short months ago, I got her interested because and I'm looking at the computer with the game, and you did get a more powerful head on there.
Oh yeah.
So I told the lovely Sharon, who loves to pressure wash, and as a joke, it was a joke, and I said to her, I just saw that there's a pressure washing game out there, 'cause I am a gamer, so I see these things,
right?
And I thought you were going to laugh that off, but we bought it.
There was no laughing here.
And now
I was like, really?
And now she's sort of like a gamer girl.
Oh my goodness, you don't even know.
And not only that, but she also has it on the mobile device.
I do.
Right.
It's not the same game.
Right.
And it's kind of retarded, but when I'm away from my laptop, that's what I use when I get the urge.
Right.
And I get the urge often. I gotta tell you.
So, yes, now what I'm afraid of is next that she will be getting the lawn cutting game.
Stop. There's a lawn cutting game?
There's a grass cutting game. There's several grass cutting simulations.
Oh, my God.
Are you kidding?
You need to stop it.
There's almost a simulation for anything. I mean, look, I got a truck driver.
What about painting?
There probably is a painting simulation.
Actually, I think I've seen ones where you just tap them. I don't want that. I want to...
Yeah, you tap you tap paint all the time with your mobiles.
No, that's coloring.
Whatever.
That's not painting. There's two different things.
Right, I've seen paint games where you're right, where you tap, it would be like
and it just fills in the whole
it would be like a swath and you hit it.
Yeah.
No, that's not. No, you're looking for folks, if you can see what she's doing, she is literally going around and getting customers, and she has to pressure wash their places.
Yeah, and their places are downright filthy. Like, I thought our house was bad. Oh no, their houses are black.
And just a reminder, our house does need to be done.
So what are you saying? No, you're right. Absolutely right.
So now we've sort of turned you into some sort of
gamer
girl now.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting is I always check with you before I disappear into the basement to go game.
I know.
You don't check with me at all.
You know
just
why?
Go do it.
Yeah, but you know why I don't? Because I don't have to go down to my room and leave you to do my game. My gaming is done right in front of you. So we're still face to face.
You're still not asking me for permission.
I don't have to ask permission. First of all, and neither do you. However, if you would like me to ask you if it's okay, I mean, if it strokes your ego a little bit, but
not. Nope.
I'll do it.
Nope. You're quite fine.
I thought so.
Yeah. So we're broadcasting in the beach studio, which is nice because it's kind of quiet down here now. It's after Labor Day.
Yep.
And we haven't even been here a lot.
We haven't.
And
I feel like we've neglected our camper.
We have. I feel like we've been neglecting our neighbors down here.
Yeah.
That's
more important because we have made friends down here. And
you know what else? The little bit of time we've spent down here this year, I just feel like we've had things we had to repair all the time.
Right.
You know, they say that buying a boat is like buying a money pit. I think that could be said for an RV. There's constantly stuff to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially if you're not coming down all the time. And it seems like when you do come down, you have to do upkeep.
Yeah.
But when you're down here all the time, you don't have to do upkeep all the time because you're always here. And
I don't know how true that is, because some of our neighbors are constantly doing things, you know?
Yeah, but that's them. That's not us.
So it is quiet down here, and in about a week, if we wanted to, Miss Molly can go onto the beaches and stuff without... I mean, we haven't even been to the beach this year. That's how little we've been down here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I live with you, so I see what we're doing and not doing, so...
Really?
Yeah.
And it's been a really weird season, too. There's been a lot of things that have just come up left and right.
Yeah.
With our time, with our limited time. So I'm hoping for a breakthrough season next year. Breakthrough season next year.
We have to do something about time management.
Oh, I need time management in every facet of my life.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about next summer when this is open down here and we have the pool open at home.
That's the difficult. Not that I've gotten a lot into the pool, but that's another difficult challenge.
Right. Well, this summer, though, for the pool, we've had to hammer out issues
all season long
that we did not know we would have to do.
That's right.
So that in itself is what stopped us from coming down here.
Yeah.
Because we only had weekends to do what we had to do with the pool. So, yeah.
If you hear a hum in the background, I'm just noticing that the RV's air conditioner, which is right above us...
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
It is raising what we call the sound floor a little bit. Not much. Is it?
Well, turn it off.
Not much. I don't want to. I turn it off and then I start sweating. This is a sweat box. Who owns an RV out there? Raise your hand. If you turn the air conditioning off, even in the fall, is it a sweat box? You bet
but if you open the windows and
you bet your yiners.
Turned off the air, you have the natural coldness.
No.
And it'd be nice.
No, because it's still in the mid-70s.
Yeah, but it's not in the 90s, the mid-90s.
No. Mid. Don't look at yours and say, no, it's 72.
Mine just, vibrated. So I'm like, oh, what did it do? And it says, move, goal achieved. Now what?
So
I've talked a lot.
Okay. So do you want to talk?
It's your turn.
Do you want to talk about this?
Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
I don't have anything just yet.
Okay.
Do you want to start this off or you want me to start off? You just said you talked plenty.
Okay, go ahead.
So the lovely Sharon brought a story to the show. Let's give her a hand for that.
Yay!
Anyway, she brought a story. It's been actually sitting around for a couple weeks waiting for us to get to it. The Pentagon wants the public's help. Of course, part of the story's cut off here.
Yeah, no, but
to
I
rename
understood
bases honoring Confederates.
Yeah, the
title's up at the top here, so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they want to change the name of 9 bases, some warships.
Warships as well?
Yeah, there's warships.
Basically anything named after a Confederate.
Yeah, Army posts including Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, and Fort Lee.
Fort Lee, yeah.
And they are still deliberating whether they should also change the name of the Army's Fort Belvoir. I don't know how to say that. In Virginia, and a name.
Is it Balfour?
Balfour, yeah. A name that came from a former slave plantation and 2 Navy ships.
So,
and this is just really infuriating me. Trump tried to block it, but he was unsuccessful because Capitol Hill said, we're doing it.
Right. So, here's the thing, and you know, this is a really touchy subject that you bring to the show.
It is
because it's a very politically charged in this environment.
No, and I get that.
And
I do. What drives me crazy is, and we've said it on the show before,
about rewriting history.
History. And I mean, who would know that 200 and some odd years later, Fort Lee would no longer be called Fort Lee,
right?
Because General Lee was in the Confederate in Civil War.
Yeah.
That's history.
Yeah, it is history, and it's our history, and so from that standpoint, it does bother me. You know, because as you said, we've had this conversation. This is all fueled by the cancel culture.
Absolutely.
In the last couple of years, and it's really been kicked into overdrive. They've already taken statues down, which so here's the thing. So
they've taken Confederate flag down.
Yeah. So I spent a third of my life reenacting Civil War, living history. And, you know, my father got us into it, made the decision of what route we're going to go. So I played both sides, obviously. But most of my life, most of my reenacting career, I was in the Confederacy doing the living history. Now, interestingly enough, because my father's side of the family didn't get here until 1906, but the interesting thing about that is, I even asked him one time, many, many, many years ago, I think we were still reenacting, I said, what I don't understand is, because your family wasn't here,
right?
My mother's was, but I said, why did you choose, you know? And so what it comes down to is a Leatherman that he had got all his belts and stuff made from before he got into this was in it, portraying 33rd Virginia. Bill got him into it.
Okay.
And also the other answer to that from my father was the Confederate generals had nicer looking uniforms. That was my dad's comment.
Right. Well,
so that was the reason.
Yeah, I actually had family in the Civil War out of Pennsylvania. I'm not sure of the exact regiment, but
we can find out, by the way.
I do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I do know it. And so obviously we were further north. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we also had family in the South.
Right, and that was the whole point of that war, brother versus brother.
Right. I mean, it wasn't... the family that was in the North I'm a direct descendant.
Right.
However, the family that was in the South was like an offshoot of the family. So, although...
So this whole committee set up to change this. So that's what upsets me is, I've portrayed both sides, and that part of my life, which started when I was 8, drove me to my passion for United States history.
Right.
Which drove me towards that in college.
Right.
And so from a historical standpoint, from, like you said, the history thing, you gotta stop attacking history.
Yeah.
And the problem right now is this cancel culture.
Let it go.
Right, this cancel culture, they want it down because they say it offends them. And I don't understand that. And the reason I brought up the whole reenacting thing is because in relation to this, I didn't read this full story. We've been hearing about this for over a year.
Yeah.
But I did some other research. I was looking at discussions in Civil War reenactors forums this past week. And this cancel culture bullshit is affecting the hobby.
Yeah.
It's affecting the hobby. They're saying over the last 10 years, they're thinking about 30,000 less people are doing it. A small percentage of that they feel like is probably from the pandemic and economical changes. It's an expensive hobby to do.
Yeah.
But they said that this whole political scene is causing a rupture in the hobby.
Right.
And...
so now you're embarrassed to say that you do it? That's the case?
That's one of the things that was going through my mind when I said, am I going to discuss this? Am I going to say to our audience, hey, I used to do this, and I was a Confederate. Now, look, I stayed on that side. I did a short term with the Union, portraying a chaplain, which I am. But I stayed on that side because that's sort of where my whole family was doing it.
Right.
And then even after that unit, the 33rd Virginia that I was in, kind of disbanded, and then I moved on to, I'm punching my mic. I moved on, I'm Italian, part Italian, I'm using my hands. So then I moved on to 17th Tennessee, and I stayed in that for no other reason than, hey, this is where my dad started us at. I'll kind of stay here, But,
right, exactly.
But then, of course, again, as a historian, the cancel culture and the people on the left that think this is so important, it's not. Like, there are more important issues in this country than who a military base is named after.
But they have a whole committee based on this.
And that's because the left and the cancel culture, they do not consider these Americans from the Confederacy veterans, which by law is incorrect. They are.
Yeah.
Because they tried to form another country. So we've gone from this piece of history that we should learn from, because goddess knows we could be on the brink of some other type of civil war soon.
Yeah.
Just from what's going on because of things like
this. Because of what's going on currently.
Right.
Exactly.
But it is history. And suddenly it's not. And I don't know where it started, but again, the cancel culture, Jesus, look at the time already. The cancel culture needs to shut the hell up and go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And leave history alone. You can't erase it because you're doomed to repeat it. And damn it, they're repeating it now. Anyway, we gotta clear out of here. Last week we ended up going we went over so bad we couldn't fix it. We gotta try to fix it this week. Folks, we got more coming up. That's basically it on that. Draw your own opinions. We wanted to voice our opinion.
Okay.
Got some really good news, feel-good news stuff coming up after the break. I also got a really interesting Wombat of the Week coming up after the break. And later on, we're going to talk about warrants. And possibly some stuff going on that some people might think is against the Fourth Amendment. I mean, if anyone cares about the Constitution anymore. But we'll be back with all this stuff coming up after this.
This is New York's Super Oldie Station, 920 WON, The Apple, Brooklyn, New York.
So I use my computer every day. I'm not even sure how I get along without it. But I wasn't prepared for a virus. A Trojan, they called it. One night I'm cruising along, and the next night I can't do anything. I was afraid it was going to cost me a fortune. Boy, was I surprised. They had me back up and running the same day I called them. I really like PC Tech Rescue, and you know what? My wallet likes them too.
Are you troubled by computer problems? PC Tech Rescue should be your very next call. Whether the problem is viruses, hardware, software, or any other issue, they can diagnose your problem and have you back up and running fast. With more than 25 years of industry experience, you can be sure you are getting dependable and affordable service. Call today, 484-429-6061, or email us at pctechrescue@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. It's the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharon. Thanks for hanging out with us and sticking around. And boy, we have quite a bit to cover in this segment, lovely Sharon.
Hi. Welcome back, everybody.
So let's see if I can let me put the mouse over here out of my way. All right, so welcome back. What we want to talk about before we get to the Wombat a week is some feel-good stuff.
Okay.
And I stumbled upon this. Excuse me. I stumbled upon this. This is a program that actually started in 2019, but the reason I stumbled upon this story is because it was announced that it was still going on because it's been so successful. So apparently, Iowa students earn physical education credit by doing yard work for elderly and people with disabilities in the community.
What?
Yes.
That's a fabulous idea.
A group of Iowa students is stepping up to help community members get their yards ready for the summer, and they're earning physical education credit in the process. So this is a little late in the season to talk about it, but it starts in April, May, by the way.
Yeah.
High school students
for
at the
season.
Alternative Learning Center in Alternative Learning Center. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that city in Iowa. Spent the last few weeks of school getting their hands dirty. A social studies teacher, Tim Hitzler, who started the program, tells People magazine that they've signed up to help the elderly and those with disabilities with garden work, cutting down bamboo, and even tending to chicken coops. Once kids do it once, they want to go do it again because, hey, it's good for them. They learn real life skills. They're working hard. It's not easy. They're sweating. They're getting physical education, basically.
Exactly.
They're getting their PE in.
Right.
The school's curriculum allows students to choose from several activities during the last few weeks of school that will count toward their PE credits.
Oh, so it's not something that they can do all year.
No, it's in the spring. In the spring, like leading up to the end of school,
right.
So they get PE credits.
Okay. Right.
Hitchler started the program 4 years ago after the school launched a garden, and he says every year since, students have worked alongside him for 2 hours each day during the school week at the end of the school year to tend the garden, and then it just kind of swirled into this. So what happens is it says this program has ended up launching this similar type of program in schools across the nation. So I thought it was really cool.
That is really cool.
What they were doing and that they were doing it, and it, like we as a show, you probably didn't know this, we follow a guy on TikTok, and I think he's from in the South somewhere, and he has a program where he gets young men to help him cut grass for elderly and disabled people.
Oh, yeah?
At no cost. And each year, he goes on a 50-state tour and does houses in every state.
Oh, wow.
And then during Christmas, he goes and he plays Santa with these elderly.
Wow.
And, no, I'm sorry. The Santa thing he does, 50 states, is he visits homeless people on the street. Amazing guy.
Wow.
But his big program is getting young men to do these challenges of doing these yards for people, and then they get rewarded for it. So, but at the same time, they're learning how to have responsibility to do something for others.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So that's really cool. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up, sort of in line with this school thing, is also back in 2019, there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Ryan Coyote, 9 years old at the time, so that would make him 11.
Is he the one that gave out blankets and stuff to the homeless?
No. He used his allowance that he made, hard-earned allowance, and he paid the $74.80 lunch tab for all of his fellow third graders at West Park Elementary School.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he had a passion for helping others at 9. Imagine that.
Wow.
You just don't see this kind of stuff all the time.
At 9 years old, I was just worried about shooting marbles or playing jacks, Jacks, the game with the little metal things.
I tell everybody on this show that you're only 27 years old.
Right. That's
so
what
at
I'm
9,
saying.
you would not have been playing jacks and marbles.
Yes.
Are you losing your marbles? You don't say that on the air.
Hey, come on. No, they have those things today, Oh, my goodness.
So basically, after the start of the academic year, 3 years ago, at West Park Elementary in Napa, Coyote had been using his lunch card to buy meals for students who could not afford to eat. But then he decided to just pay off the tabs for everyone in his class.
Wow.
So the thing about this is this program has launched, and I'm sure we've talked about it on the show before, at least once or two other times, about these people that have stepped up, not just kids, but adults.
Exactly.
And paid off school lunches. And that's because that seems to be a pocket problem. Mm-hmm. The school lunch program. And a lot of people would say in this day and age, why is that even a thing where you go to school and you have to pay for your hot lunch? A lot of schools, if you can't afford or get approved for your hot lunch, I just read this week. In many school systems, that means you get peanut butter and jelly and a bottle of water.
That's ridiculous.
That's prison food.
Yes, it is.
And in one...
Come on.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. One school...
Let's degrade the kids.
Right, exactly.
And make them feel like poor people because they can't afford lunch. Come on.
Okay, so...
Oh, Lord.
So there have been fundraising efforts set up in many other places, including Texas, Washington, Rhode Island, Ohio, and some other states. A Rhode Island school district reversed a policy that would have made students with lunch debt eat cold sun butter and jelly sandwiches. What is sun butter?
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
It doesn't sound like peanut butter.
No.
Whew. So, so there have been other problems, pockets of problems, and funds set up, and people making moves to say, hey, this is crazy, and something has to be done about it, you know? Because I don't remember, I remember the it was almost like signing a contract for a house when we had to fill it out for our girls.
Oh, yeah.
When they were in school.
Yep.
It was like an unbelievable...
To get a free lunch,
amount of paperwork.
Yeah.
Just to see if... because, we weren't high income.
No.
And so they put you through all this paperwork, and then I guess, if you can't, and you can't afford it, and you can't bring anything, in some places you get a cold sun butter and jelly sandwich.
Well, I need to know what sun butter is. And you can
use that all you want because...
This doesn't interfere?
No, I think you're fine. I don't know. You know what? I really don't even know.
Oh, okay.
Let's find out. But hurry up. Sun butter.
Sun butter.
Hey, Google, what is sun butter? Oh, we don't have that. We don't have a Hey Google here, do we? I'm going to take a Hey drink of something because my throat's getting raw.
Butter.
Maybe. Sun butter can help my throat when I'm doing a show.
Okay. Sun butter is...
better than no butter.
Sunflower oil butter.
That's disgusting.
Sun butter, natural sunflower butter.
That's disgusting. So that's like putting vegetable shortening spread and jelly onto a sandwich.
Yeah, sun butter, natural sunflower butter. Really?
That's craziness.
That is.
That's sad is what it is.
Look, and somebody's poking their hand through a hole.
What?
Look.
Yeah, because they don't want you to see their face that they're so low that they're offering you a bottle of sun butter.
And look.
Of course they're going to stick it through their hole in a wall.
Walmart,
it's a sun butter glory hole.
At Walmart, 16 ounces is $5.34.
Wow. Anyway.
So,
I mean, I applaud kids like this. It is, I think you were talking about the kid that we featured on our Honor Thy Heroes last year twice.
Right.
Because of what he does over there in Maryland for his community. And that's to fight bullying.
Sunflower spread.
Okay, so we got it. Sunflower.
I'm sorry, it's just grossing me out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, so we're going to move on to the Wombat of the Week. We did some feel-good stories, some people doing things.
Yeah.
And now the Wombat of the Week.
Talk about the stupid people.
Right, you can get involved. This is how you do it. All you got to do is send us a link to a verifiable news story. It has to be a verifiable news story, not a story. Don't send me TikTok videos. Okay? Please stop getting your news from TikTok.
How about that one that person sent?
Yeah, somebody sent us a TikTok video with somebody's an anti-vaxxer's opinion.
Yeah.
Not fact. That's not a Wombat of the Week, okay? So anyway, send us
there may be a Wombat, but, you know.
Right. Send us a verifiable news story and send it to us in an email to joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. You can also send it to us at Facebook as a DM at JM Talk. Right?
Yeah.
Facebook is JM Talk. Yeah.
JM Talk.
Facebook sucks, by the way.
It does.
Anyway, so today's Wombat of the Week is a fake sign language interpreter delivers gibberish in Florida during a police press conference.
I remember this story.
Yes. Well, you know, folks, hearing impaired people do tune into the news to find out what's going on.
Yes.
And they tuned into this news conference about the arrest of a suspected serial killer.
Yep.
And all they got was gibberish from an American Sign Language interpreter.
Right.
As Tampa Police Chief Brian Dugan announced the arrest of Howell Donaldson last Wednesday night, interpreter Derlin Roberts was there beside him, making signs that made no sense. According to Rachel Sedembrino, who is deaf and teaches American Sign Language at the University of South Florida, she said that she sat up there and waved her arms like she was singing Jingle Bells.
What?
Among the things Roberts signed, according to Sedembrino, was the following: 51 hours ago, 01222, indecipherable, murder, 3 minutes, in 14 weeks ago, in old, indecipherable, murder, 45,000, plea, 10, arrest, murder, Bush, incomprehensible, 3, age, 24.
Oh my God.
In fact, the chief was providing a timeline of the 4 shootings and describing how his agency has received some 5,000 tips before arresting the 24-year-old suspect.
That's crazy.
The chief says he was disappointed, confused, and upset, and really wanted to know... Oh, I'm sorry. Sedembrino said she was upset. She wanted to know why the city hired this person. Tampa Bay spokesperson Steve Haggerty said Monday that Roberts just showed up and told him that she was there to provide the sign language interpretation at the news conference. He assumed that someone else at the department called the service and requested it. By the way, this is... I thought this when I said last Wednesday. I'm sorry. This goes back to November, but still.
But still.
Wombats never age.
They do.
They age like fine wine.
When wombats hit the internet, like everything else, they're a wombat forever.
So, you know, at the time of this press of this,
yes,
they were not able to reach this lady who just disappeared. They did look up and found out that she has she has an extensive criminal record that includes convictions for fraud over $50,000 and fraudulent use of personal information. And get this. This is the mystery. the mystery is, why hasn't she returned their phone calls? Because now they want an explanation.
Yeah.
You think this lady's going to call you? I mean, did you pay her? I mean, how does this work? You know what I mean? And
wow. Well, they do get paid to interpret.
Right. And the citizens are upset.
Yeah.
Because they want to know, is this the same way you hire police officers to serve and protect?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, the good news is you don't hire detectives off the street. You have to work your way up.
Yeah, but...
and prove yourself to be a detective. But, and I don't blame them for being upset. I really don't.
No, not at all. I'd be upset.
Here's the thing, folks. The sign language interpreter is not the Wombat of the Week. The Tampa Police Department is our Wombat of the Week.
That's right.
For just out of the blue inviting this person in to do a press conference for you.
Right, exactly.
That's the crazy part. So, anyway, so that's our Wombat of the Week. Be sure to get your story in to joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. Or you can send it across Facebook. Again, like I said, at JM Talk, that's where to go. So, there it is, the Wombat of the Week. So now coming up on the program afterwards, after the break here, I will be talking about a new type of warrant. And I don't want to say more than that. I want to entice you to come back.
Warrant as in police warrant?
Well, warrant for something.
For your arrest or
well, maybe
something like that?
You could stick around even though you're leaving.
I could.
Right. But this is the time of the show where you have to say goodbye, Sharon. So say it loud and proud.
Goodbye, Sharon.
That was loud and proud. So as the lovely Sharon takes her leave from the episode, folks, I will return with more to wrap podcast number 149, if you're keeping track. Wrap it up after this.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Broadcasting from a crummy little studio in Baltimore, Maryland. This is Reality One Radio.
You see why we need your donations?
Welcome back to the show, folks. It's the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharon. Welcome to the final stretch, the third part of the program. Appreciate you hanging out. And as I said earlier, I want to talk about this story about a new warrant. And I ran into this story and I was like, whoo, we got to talk to our people about this. So I want to tell you about this guy, Zachary Mccoy, who, from Gainesville, Florida, out on a routine bike ride around his neighborhood, and he got himself into the proverbial crosshairs of the Gainesville, Florida police. In January 2020, an email from Google landed in McCoy's inbox. Police were requesting his user data, the company told him, and McCoy had 7 days to go to court and block the release of his data. McCoy later found out that the request was part of an investigation into a burglary of a nearby home the year before. The evidence that cast him as a suspect was his location during his bike ride. Information the police obtained from Google through what is called a Geofence Warrant. For simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, McCoy was being investigated, and as a result, his Google data was at risk of being handed over to the police. Did you get all that? Geofence location warrants and reverse search warrants, such as the ones that McCoy dealt with, are increasingly becoming the tool of choice for law enforcement. Google revealed for the first time in August that it received 11,554 geofence location warrants from law enforcement agencies in 2020. That is up from 8,396 in 2019, and that is up 982 from 982 in 2018. 982, 8,396, 11,000 plus in 3 years. This is a concerning trend. According to experts and advocates, they are worrying that the increased signals will start a new era, one in which law enforcement agencies find ever more creative ways to obtain user information from data-rich technical companies. And they fear that agencies and jurisdictions will use this relatively unchecked mechanism in the context of new and controversial laws. So you have all this data. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about what is your phone doing? What are you allowing your phone or mobile device to do? And one of the most basic things that come to mind when I say that, or when anyone warns you about, hey, what is your mobile device? What does it have permission to? Let's talk about location. Location is something in your cell phone that's basically turned on full bore by default, anything, anywhere. Okay? Everything wants to know what your location is. And so listen, I'm not saying do what you got to do to hide from the authorities. I mean, again, it goes back to this argument. If you have nothing to hide, what do you care? What do you care if you have nothing to hide? The same type of thing I talk about when I talk about Second Amendment. You know, I'm okay. You want to make common sense laws about that? Great. Okay? That's fine. As long as they're common sense and everyone has to abide by it. And if I'm not doing anything wrong, why should I be concerned about those laws? As long as I'm still a law-abiding citizen and able to exercise my rights. But what I'm saying is, this poor guy riding his bike, and because in his Google data it said that at that time, whatever. I'll give you an example. 8:32 p.m. His location on his phone stamped him and being at such and such in the area, such and such address. Boom, a year later, the police are pulling information from Google, and they think they have a suspect because this guy was around that address. He passed by riding his bike. So you have to ask yourself, this is sort of weird. So you should be asking yourself, what is my phone doing? So, lawyers and privacy experts argue that geofence and other broad warrants, such as those that ask companies to sift through keywords people search for, are akin to a general warrant made illegal by the Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures. Unlike other kinds of search warrants, which are targeted and seek information about people who law enforcement has probable cause to believe has committed a specific crime, these warrants don't have a particular person in mind. So it's not like they went after this guy. They just pulled data. And then when one of those broad searches showed that this guy McCoy was in the location around the time of this burglary, oh my God, he must have done it. It's reckless. And it's worrisome, and it should worry everybody. Okay? It does sound like they're teetering into the unreasonable search and seizure with this. So in other words, reverse search warrants, law enforcement is still looking for their suspect, and they're asking tech companies to give them a list of people to investigate. For geofence warrants, anyone in a certain place at a certain time becomes a suspect and is subject to further investigation, which could mean giving police even more of their user data once they've gotten enough data to see that this person was in that area at that time. Oh, well, he might be a suspect. Now, that gave me the right to have a judge sign off that I can go get all the data I need on him. And that's where it gets a little hairy, you know what I mean? So that's what the geofence warrant is. It just says, hey, we're investigating this neighborhood. So we'll go to these tech companies that we know collect data through these mobile devices, and we'll tell them we need everything for this area at this time. And then they can sift through all that. So that's why it was a year later before he gets the email from Google saying, hey, the police are requesting your data. And here's the thing. The police are requesting your personal data from our database, and you have 7 days to go to court and fight it. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that sound a little weird to anybody? That it's that simple to say they want your data and you have to go tell them no in court and you need to fight them? No one's looking out for... No one who's collecting that data, no one that's polling your data and storing your data gives a shit about who's going to get your data? Doesn't that seem a little evasive into the Fourth Amendment realm? It sure does to me a little bit. It sure does to me. I was blown away to read this story about a guy who, because of a bike ride, is now having trouble with, potentially having trouble with the law because of where his phone said he was at a particular point in time. Privacy groups are arguing that tech companies bear responsibility in law enforcement's growing access to these types of data by developing new features that index user information in a way that makes it more searchable. That's what I'm saying. The tech companies have to have some sort of responsibility to say you can't just have it all. You know? You can't just take it all. There's got to be some responsibility. If you look at the proposed Apple child sexual abuse material detection CSAM function, okay, which would analyze images to detect child sexual abuse images, you know, that's causing a stir. Look, I'm all for catching child sexual abuse predators. Holy crap! Don't even think that I'm standing on a soapbox saying it's wrong to catch them. Okay, that's not what I'm saying, but I would think before a tech company like Apple, I don't even know. I don't even know what the correct way to say this is. I really don't, because there's no way. I want everyone to understand. There's no way that I'm advocating that. What I'm saying is, I said we have to be a little cautious in how Apple proceeds with this, if they're allowed to proceed with this. The technology is developed. They're just trying to get it to launch. I have no problem if you want to catch child predators. Get them. Get them all. The problem is how this CSAM function is open for abuse and overstepping of bounds. That's the problem with these types of things. And I'm telling you, since this story came out talking about Mr. McCoy and his problems, it makes the Apple CSAM function more suspect. Okay, I think you would need a little more information, a little more police work before you just say, give me everything you have, on such and such. You know, like, okay, you're probably going to sneak this into our iPhones. Okay, for those of us that stay with Apple. So once you sneak this in, how do we know? Jesus, see, there's no real way to even come at this story. There's no real way to come at it. You know? Like, yes, if someone's a child predator and they got pictures on their phone, absolutely. Take them down. But how is it you get into that phone to find those pictures? I'm telling you, you're going to have Fourth Amendment problems with this. I mean, what happened to police work? What happened to police investigations that get you to that point? Like, I'm old enough to remember, and I've been in the computer industry long enough to know that they get a warrant based on probable cause to take your devices and search them. Boomo! That's how it works. Okay, so these groups that are concerned, they say from our position, creating more vulnerabilities on our devices that can be abused, whether by an authoritarian government or by law enforcement or hackers, doesn't make anyone safer. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. It's making us more vulnerable. We already have problems with hackers. And you want more problems with hackers? Are you kidding me? And these, like, the normalization of these mechanisms is particularly worrying because controversial laws such as, I don't know, take the Texas abortion ban. All right, they're being passed. Privacy advocate Albert Fox Kahn, the founder of the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, said, and he said, while Texas's law doesn't allow public officials to sue abortion providers or those who help, it doesn't prohibit them from aiding private citizens who do sue. So this can be a pretext. And again, you know, it's tough stepping into this because I'm not taking a stance on the abortion thing either. So don't even try that. Okay? But it's getting easier, folks. It's getting easier to take your data. It's getting easier to take your data without you knowing about it. So again, you need to pay attention to what your location services are doing. Like, there's very few things that allow to use my location. Okay? Take a look and see what's using your location. And I don't even think I run a GPS. If I need to use my maps to look for directions, I have to actually turn the GPS on the phone. So my GPS isn't on. I'm not trying to evade anybody. I'm trying to evade people from being able to hack. I mean, if if you were in the computer industry, then you would know there's a thing called social engineering. And that's how people use all this stuff and more to socially engineer you, to get to know you, so then they can get something from you, or in most cases from your company. Data. How can I squeeze data out of this person? That's what it comes down to. And that's what we have to be careful about. There's some preliminary reports that I'll be working on about Apple having a new thing they're putting in their phones to detect depression. And they're saying it's going to be more for the health app. What do you need that for? I think that's more sinister than just being something else to add to your health app. But more on that when we get it. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap things up on the program. I want to thank everyone for joining us on the show. Again, take everything with a grain of salt and don't get your news from TikTok and things like that. I want to thank you for listening. Remember, we're at www.jmtalk.net. That's where you can go and subscribe to the podcast. Don't miss an episode. When they drop, you're subscribed, you get it. Boongo, bango, bongo, you're in. You can also listen to the shows right there on the fly at the website. We're on social media. We are at TikTok and Facebook at JM Talk, Instagram and Twitter at JM Talk Radio. You want to drop us a line? Do so by sending me an email at joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. So in the meantime, be good human beings out there, folks. Please do it for all of us. Be good to one another. And we will catch you here next time on the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharon. Goodbye, everybody.